almost everyone finds Japanese tea through matcha, and then they stop there. Like, matcha is the whole country, right? Like, for years I did the same thing. Like, I came into the green tea world through matcha, but then I explored more and found out that matcha is only one tea out of many, right, on a shelf full of others wonderful teas in the world. And some of those teas might be suited better to your life. For example, Hojicha is a lot less caffeine if you're more wanting to try that. And yeah, so let me give you the whole map in one video so you actually know what to drink next. My name is Christian, and I run a tea brand called OnewithTea. And matcha is our doorway and not the entire house. So we have a lot more to offer. Check it out. And here's the one idea that makes all of this click. Every tea I'm about to show you, green tea, matcha, roasted ones, all of it comes from the same exact plant, which is Camellia sinensis. I think a lot of people don't know that fact, but every tea is actually coming from the same plant, right? Not the herbal teas, but all the quote-unquote normal teas, right? Black tea, green tea, oolong tea, etc., etc. All these come from the same plant called Camellia sinensis, right? So the differences are entirely about how the leaf is grown and what's done to it after it's being plucked from the leaf, okay? So if you understand that, I think that is always an important step in everybody's tea journey. So let's start with one green tea that most Japanese people actually drink every day, and it's called Sencha. It's roughly 70% of all tea grown in Japan, and the daily cup, the one on the table at home. The leaves grow in full sun, they're steamed right after picking to lock in that fresh and green aroma, rolled and dried, and it tastes very bright and grassy, a little sweet, a little astringent, very clean. Brewed around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. It's about 160 to 175 Fahrenheit for under a minute. And if matcha is the special occasion, Sencha is kind of like the good, honest everyday. I got some here too. And for me, I really enjoy loose leaves more than matcha even, because matcha tends to have a lot of caffeine. So if I drink too much, I just get so hyped that I need to calm down. Next one is Gyokuro. This is kind of like the luxury version of Sencha. So if Sencha grows in the full sun, Gyokuro is shaded for weeks before harvest. Similar to matcha, it's also shaded before it's being harvested. And what that does, it's blocking the light and pushes the leaf to build more of the amino acid called L-theanine, and that gives Gyokuro this deep, almost broth-like, savory sweetness. They also call it umami. So yeah, Gyokuro is a very special tea to me as well. It's very intense. It's also sometimes expensive, and you want to brew it gently, not too hot. Cool water for around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. It's like 110 to 140 Fahrenheit. Very interesting tea to try if you haven't tried that one yet. Gyokuro. Yeah, for me, it's not an everyday tea, but it's, I would say, the once a week type tea for me. And then, of course, there's matcha, which brings us, to what brought it all together, or most people here, is the green tea powder matcha. And, it really is similar in a way that it, take a shade-grown leaf like Gyokuro's cousin, right? Strip out the stems and the veins, dry it into something called tencha, and grind it into a stone mill, into a fine powder. That's matcha. So the reason it hits so differently is that you're not steeping and discarding the leaf. You're whisking the whole thing into the water, and you're actually drinking and ingesting the whole leaf. So matcha isn't a separate species, so to say. It's the same plant, shaded like Gyokuro, and then taken one step further into powder, right? The doorway that brings a lot of people to Japanese tea, which is matcha. And then we have another one that is very popular, or becoming very popular. It's called the Hojicha. And this for me is kind of like the autumn afternoon tea. Like, I love this tea so much. It has very little caffeine. So yeah, it's, take Japanese green tea, often sencha, or the stems, and then you roast it. Like that roasting changes everything about Hojicha, and the color goes from green to a warm reddish brown, and the grassiness turns into more of a toasty, caramel, nutty, almost coffee-like aroma. And yeah, it's a very interesting taste. Like for me, it's kind of like in between green tea and coffee. It's like Hojicha, like that taste where you get that roastedness. A very gentle roast, like coffee roasts are usually very bold and fiery and strong, whereas Hojicha is more gentle. I really invite you to try it. If you like coffee, you're probably gonna like Hojicha. So yeah, Hojicha is the drink for, you know, the evening after dinner, maybe, you know, with kids around, when you want the ritual without the buzz. It's the tea I reach for at night. Yeah, definitely brew it hot, and you can also make it cold. It's a powder. Use it like matcha, either way you like it. And I have two more for you, and those ones are, you know, some not really known. So Genmaicha is one of them. Is a green tea blended with roasted, sometimes popped rice, and it's nutty, it's toasty, it's comforting because of the rice notes in there, like a little savory tea and popcorn thing. You know, I really enjoy Genmaicha. It's gentle, it's low in caffeine. People call it the people's tea for a reason, and it actually was an invention of the Japanese during the Second World War, because there was not much food on the front lines, so they gave people tea to stay awake, and they put in rice, dried rice, because that wouldn't spoil. Green tea and dried rice to keep them awake and fed at a minimum. Very interesting, the history of Genmaicha. One of my favorites. And then we have Kukicha. I think I've never met someone here in the States who've talked to me about Kukicha much. It's also called twig tea, and it's made largely from stems and stalks of the leaf. It's very light, mild, slightly, you know, sweet, a little bit nutty. Like imagine, like instead of drinking and steeping the leaf, you steep kind of like the little stem of the leaf. Very interesting. Like gets more nutty, gets more woody, you know, in a sense. I really like that one. It's also very low in caffeine, and because the stems just hold less of it. And both of these teas are really easygoing, everyday, all day teas, right? So yeah, here's the whole shelf in one picture, and from the most caffeine to the least caffeine, Gyokuro at the top, then Matcha, Sencha, and then you have roasted stem teas, then you have Hojicha, Genmaicha, Kukicha, at the lower caffeine end, right? So basically, and this is what I do often, especially when I have a work day, I basically drink Japanese tea all day long, but different teas at different times, like Gyokuro matcha in the morning, Sencha throughout the, you know, afternoon, lunch, and then Hojicha or Kukicha maybe in the evening if I still want some more tea. And so, yeah, I really enjoy that. And what I also really love is the ritual for these teas, right? And yeah, that's really where my heart is at with tea. So yeah, matcha was never the whole story. If you never knew, it was always the doorway, and now you've seen kind of like inside the house. There's a tea here for your sharpest morning, one for your quiet night, and all from a single plant, you know, shaped by the sun, by the shade, by, you know, the people who made it. And my honest hope is that matcha is where you start, not where you stop, right? So pick one of these if you haven't tried yet, and let it surprise you. Steep a tea and get into the ritual of making tea. It's such a luxurious moment every time I make it. So yeah, feel free to check out OnewithTea. And if you want to explore more about these teas, we're also on Amazon. And so yeah, the adventure is really in finding out the next cup for you, and I'll wish you something delicious in your cup. Thanks for watching.